Alright, hey, this is Griff, speed tutorial time. I just wanted to go over quickly how I make a beat because a lot of people have been asking me, hey Griff, how you make a beat? I'm going to be in your left ear because I like your left ear more than I like your right ear, so take that. Alright, I'm going to come over to the sampler tab here, and then this is where we'll load a sample in. I'm going to put my octave at 4, it's up here, this little octave guy up here. And I'm going to load in a break beat. I've got samples over here, but another thing you can do that should just work for you is come up to this sample presets thing and load in a break. I like Bangy Drummer. So if I press the Z key now, it plays the beat because I pressed the Z key. It's like pressing a key on the keyboard. I can press different keys for different transpositions. That goes very fast. So one of the things that we can do, if we hit the edit button here and we place this instrument down, I'm going to press escape to turn on record mode, Z to place the note, and I'm going to press escape to turn off record mode. If I play this now, it doesn't necessarily match up with the beat. I turned on the metronome by pressing this button up here. It's right up by the options button here. Anyway, you can tell that it doesn't match up with the beat. So I guess first of all, I'm going to change my lines per beat to 8 because I usually work at 8 lines per beat, which means that this is all going to go by a little bit faster now, but it'll be the same BPM and it'll still not match up. Anyway, I'm going to come back over to Sampler and I'm going to turn on this thing called Beat Sync. It's pretty cool. What it means is that it will play the entirety of this sample in 64 lines if I turn this on. So now if I press any button on the keyboard, it'll play exactly the same. Pressing all sorts of different buttons because this is the speed that this sample needs to play through to finish at exactly 64 lines. Now, unfortunately for us, it's probably not what we actually want, so I'm going to change, since we're at 150 BPM right now, I'm going to change this to 128. That's pretty fast, but I mean, hell, we're at 150, so yeah, let's keep it there. So now you'll notice if I hit the space bar, it matches. And I can change the BPM here, and the sample will match the BPM. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to come back to that. So another thing that you can do is once, well, I'll cover this in a different thing, but just as for simple breakbeat mangling now, I'll just drop in a few effects. The effects are available on this thing down here, and I'm going to drag this effect out into this track. So basically anything that plays in this track is going to be affected by this. So I'm going to put my BPM back at like 130. So the repeater is basically a buffer repeater. I can just click this thing at any time and repeat a section of the beat. Also, if you click this button down here, hold, and turn that off, now you have to hold your mouse button down in order to trigger these things. So you can mess around with it basically live. So you can do fun stuff with that. Another thing I like to do is play around with other sounds. So I'm going to come over here and just load in some stupid synth preset. Doobity-doo. Sample presets? No, let's drop in an instrument preset here. Instrument presets are available up here. Synth, let's grab a bright saw. Why not? This should just be the most really stupid sounding synth. Alright, it's not that stupid sounding, but it's not particularly interesting. So I'm just going to play, just for giggles, I'm going to drop this in. E5. So one of the things that I kind of like to do is apply a signal follower that follows the beat. And I'm going to drop that in as the first thing here. And what a signal follower does is it takes the envelope of the input signal into it and it turns it into what we might call a CV or a control output. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a gainer into this track here. This track again has our synth sound in it. And I'm going to go go back to our first track, and after the signal follower, I'll add a hydra. The hydra allows us to break out the CV to multiple things. Let's add a, so the signal follower, we're going to send the output of the signal follower to the input of the hydra, and then the hydra will allow us to select things in other tracks. I guess we can also do this, you know, using just the signal follower, but I like to use the hydra because it gives me a little bit more control. So current track hydra input, that's the signal follower output. You can kind of see how when the beat plays, output changes. So I can drop this into the gainer, gain, and if I were to do it right now, sorry, that's probably a little bit loud. I'm going to put this down to 0. So now I'm going to drop this down. So that gives us a nice little rhythm to that. So that's a neat thing we can do. Another neat thing I like to do is to let's drop a analog filter into this pipeline. I'll do it after the repeater. And we can filter down our beat. But this is not what the cool thing about this filter is the best thing in renoise, 100% bar none. Check this out. You can just pull up the drive, get this really saturated clipping sounding effect, and then we'll bring up the resonance. Right there, it's not doing much. I'm actually going to throw it into a high pass mode, and I'll bring the resonance down. Ooh, dirty. That sounds cool. Let's drop in an analog filter on top of that. So, I guess we're not making a song right now, right? So let's just play the beat. So what are some other fun things to do? Oh, let's apply a gate. Sometimes beats sound really full and they just occupy all of your spectrum and they need to be more punchy and aggressive, and that's what a gate will get you. So what this does is it basically turns off the signal if it's ever below a specific threshold. Here's off. That was off. And I'll turn it on. Super aggressive. Let's come up to 160. So sometimes it's fun to just automate these things a little bit. I'm going to copy this pattern here. Let's duplicate that, and let's just make two things for now. Sorry about that. So I just automated this resonance here. And again, to do that, you click this button here next to any slider, and you can automate just about any slider. Sure, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. And then you can add all sorts of fun, like little clippy sample mangly things. going to press B in this middle track here. What this will do is it'll play the sample backwards from right there, and that could sound cool. It doesn't sound cool. So now we'll go back and get rid of that because we have sinned. And then, oh, this is kind of another neat thing to do, right? We have the full... Alright, we'll take that. Let's just re-trigger the sample again after here. Oops, that's the wrong instrument. Switch back to instrument 0. And come back here, and then... So just turning off the analog filter for now. Just gives you a quick little way to, you know, modulate that. So I'm just going to record a repeater automation here quick. When you're clicking on this thing, if you right-click instead, you'll actually write sample commands. So I'm just going to hopefully do something good the first time. So what happened there was I turned on the thing and it stayed on because the effect here assumes the first value that I clicked. So even up here, it's still on that 32, 1/32 repeat. So I'm going to right click up here to add an off command to that. So now it's just off by default. Not good. Whatever, maybe that's good. So that's neat. I'm going to render that out. I'm just going to take, well, one of the things that you could do is render it to sample, I don't know. I'm just going to take this for now. Fuck it, why not? Let's render it out. Render song to disk. Bibble. I don't even know what I'm calling it. Real time. So this is gonna. What this is doing is it's playing what I just made, rendering it out to a sample, and then I'll load that in here. Samples. No. Where do we want to be? Doop-a-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Let me pull this up in a different location. Looking through my sample folder. Where are you? I put that in that folder there. Yeah, there we go. Bibble.wave. Let's load that in. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Oops. Too fast. Double modulation. All right, I'm going to come to a track that doesn't have any effects on it. Oops. And then sample. That should sound familiar. So one of the easiest things you can do to a beat that you've already recorded is just change the speed at which it's played. It can just completely change everything about it. First thing I'm going to do is click this button right here, which will actually just adjust the sample properties to be normalized so that it's nice and loud. Maybe even too loud for one's delicate ears. So now I'm going to play it at a slightly different speed. And the way I'm going to do that is by checking beat sync. And I'm going to drop it in here in this track. And I'm going to turn off all the other tracks. And then let's slow that shit down. Just take it down to, well, I'll just slow it down while it's playing. Could sound fun. I'm going to put a B here so I play this last bit backwards. That's dirty. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this back on. but I'm going to turn it all the way down to 0 because remember we're still using the modulation to control the synthesis or to control the gain level in track 2. And let's just hear what that sounds like. Anyway, that's a start. I'm going to stop this now because it got way longer than I wanted to. I could do this for a very long time.